Now, Executive Suite with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, whether you're joining us on television or on the radio, where you can find us now on AM 630, Sunday nights at 6. We're very glad to have you. Now, later on the show this week, we're going to hear from a fast-growing company in Warwick. They're heading over to Cranston because they're growing fast. Alliance Security. They do security systems, and they're growing quite quickly. But right now, I'm very pleased to be joined by Ed Medeiros. He is the CEO of East Commerce Solutions, and we're going to talk about what they do at East Commerce right here in East Providence, just like Channel 12 studio. Good to have you, neighbor.
Oh, great to be here.
So let's start with the easy question. What do you do exactly at East Commerce Solutions?
We take credit cards and process them for businesses. So if you went into a store, use your credit card, you run it through that little machine or through a computer where they swipe it through. We actually do all the transaction services that send the money to that merchant from the card into their bank.
So people are going to think, well, wait a minute, I thought Visa did that. I thought that you put it in and that's why there's a Visa or MasterCard on it. What piece of the process are you in?
We are the most important part. We make sure the money gets deposited and transacted from the card to the business. I mean, when I first started, I had no idea that this type of business existed. I always thought banks were the ones that did the transaction, but actually banks are just a fiduciary to transfer the funds. Transaction service providers or merchant service providers like us actually take the money, transfer it from the card to the merchant, and send the rest of it to Visa.
So without you or one of your competitors, a company couldn't run credit card transactions. They'd have no way to get back and forth.
Absolutely. Well, Visa and MasterCard doesn't directly engage with businesses unless you're like a Walmart or someone like that. Then they can go direct. You have to be in the trillions to get them interested.
Before they care to do it themselves.
Yeah, of course.
So you're moving money, but you're not, just to keep people on board, you're not a bank, right?
We're not a bank.
You're not in any way a bank. Are you creating software that makes this get done? Or do you take that from somebody else and you're just making sure they have what they need?
Right, there are networks. There's 5 major networks. We're connected to all 5 major networks worldwide. And it's a real close-knit group that, again, a part of the industry that no one really knows about, the networks. And what we do is license through all these networks to process. The reason for the different networks, because there's so many softwares and so many different types of hardware, so they all work on different types of network. So if you're a merchant that has a terminal that works on, say, a Elevon network or a First Data network, we would set you up for that network so we don't have to do any equipment swapping.
How the heck did you get into this business?
You know, it's a funny story. It was a blind ad that I answered in a newspaper about Visa MasterCard agents. And I met this guy in a lounge in a Holiday Inn, right? And I'm like, something's not right here. And went in and started telling me the story, and he gave me a book. I read this book, filled out some paperwork, and the rest is history. 20 years later, we're processing over 25,000 merchants worldwide and doing about $3.5 billion in processing.
So was he trying to recruit you to be in this spot? To be like, we need somebody to connect Visa to the restaurant down the street?
Yeah, well, they had no operations in Rhode Island, and I was like the first one to come in Rhode Island to do that. And I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. You know, I was in banking, small business banking, and mortgage banking before that, so I figured I'd give it a try. And I get in, I really enjoyed it, working with business owners. Every business owner has a story.
Don't I know it on the show?
And it's so awesome to hear about how they started their restaurant or how they started their retail business or their manufacturing business. And I think that's what really got me going in this business, is hearing the stories of the business owners.
Now, credit cards are pretty common, so I would think you're not the only one who's thought of this as a business. How competitive is what you do? How many other people are trying to take this business from you?
Oh, there's thousands of us in the United States, but our company is ranked in the top 1/2 or 1 percentile of companies like us in the country. We're considered what we call a super ISO. So we do like so much business. There's only so many companies like ours that do that amount of business a year.
So who are your customers? Like, is it a huge range, big companies, small companies? Are you mostly focused on smaller companies?
You know, we used to focus on the smaller ones, and then we graduated to medium and large, and now we have customers that do $20 million a month and customers that do $500 a month. So large, small, medium, we really treat every customer like they're a large customer.
Now, I've got to think that technology, we see it change all the time around this stuff. We had last year we had on Jack Dorsey about Square, the little thing you put on your phone to do credit card transactions. I mean, there's all different ways this stuff is changing. Is it hard to keep up with that? Is that a challenge for the company to make sure you're right on point with what the latest technology is around all this?
Well, that's the fun part about it. Technology is always changing. I mean, I was in a business meeting in 1995 when they were introducing the internet, and they said, we're going to have a conference on internet and websites and e-commerce. Everybody takes that for granted now, but I was there when MindSpring, Earthlink,
CompuServe, maybe.
Yeah,
things like
there were like 5 of them in a room that were introducing the internet, and most of the guys were going to play golf because they didn't think it was going to take off too well. And I went to the meeting.
Yeah, did they sell you on it? Did you think it was going to last?
Oh, they did. I was doing websites by 1996.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Ed Medeiros about East Commerce Solutions and actually some big changes coming that merchants, companies need to be aware of later on this year around credit cards. And of course, later we'll hear from Alliance Security. So stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we are talking right now with Ed Medeiros. He is from East Commerce Solutions, and they are the ones who make sure that when you go to a store or a restaurant or somewhere else and you swipe your credit card, that the money gets from the bank that has it to the person who just did the transaction. Did I explain that right?
To the business.
To
yes.
the business, yeah. All right, we'll go with it. So, Ed, one of the things when I was doing research for this show, you folks have put together a report, and it's really interesting how much credit cards are going to be changing this year, the rules around them and everything. You called it Preparing for EMV, EuroPay, MasterCard, and Visa, and it's about new credit card with chips. It's about Apple Pay. What's the simple summary of what's the shift going on here that people need to be aware of?
The simple version of that would be that the credit cards they make now have mag readers. They're coming out with cards that have chips. They're getting all off the market.
So are we not going to swipe at all anymore?
You could swipe it, but basically the card would get loaded into the terminal and the information would be taken out. But not the same type of information. No longer your personal information. It's not going to pass through the credit card terminals any longer. It's going to be a tokenization like a PIN or an identity number so that fraud can't happen at the terminal base. The tough part about that is now the liability falls on the business owner. So the credit card processing fraud used to fall on the card issuer. Now it's going, as of October 1st, mandated all business owners have to be what we call EMV terminal certified. So they have to have a terminal that can read these new cards.
So that's like if I called Amex, said, hey, someone charged a hotel room I didn't actually buy on mine. It would have been up to Amex to pay for that and deal with it if they promised reimbursing. But now it would be on the hotel
Absolutely.
that did that transaction.
Correct, the business owner.
So are businesses going to need to make a new investment to make this happen and be prepared for it?
They are. You have to get new terminals, new mag readers. If you have computers, they're going to have new gateways for POS systems. And the mag readers on, like I heard you say Square before. So those mag readers now have to be EMV chip certified. So they got to switch all of that out. We're making it easy for our customer and inexpensive by just replacing our current customers and providing new terminals for new customers.
Now, is everyone going to need a new credit card too on the other side of the transaction?
Oh yeah, they're printing like millions of credit cards daily just to catch up to that.
When's it all have to be in place?
October 1st, 2015.
So we should all expect new credit cards in the mail.
You should have already started getting them.
I better check, I guess. Who knows what kind of bad transactions I'm doing. So I want to shift to a different question to you. Your company, one thing you're known for is donating a lot of money to charity. I think it's more than $3 million now you've donated over the years to charity. Obviously, for one thing, it's good publicity for a company. No one would deny that. But you've said it's more than that to you. It's important to you. Why is that so important to you?
Well, if you're going to make a living in a community, you have to certainly make a difference with what you do with your money. Anybody can go out there and raise money and have income, but it's what you do with it that's going to matter. And we make a difference in people's lives, children, homeless people, people that need food, shelter. Amos House is one of our people that we do things for. The Boys and Girls Club last year, we did a golf tournament for Providence Boys and Girls Club. We raised $65,000 for them. And it's all about, giving back to the community that you make a profit in. I think that's important.
Well, speaking of that community, Rhode Island doesn't always get a good rap for its business friendliness, as they say. I'm curious, have you ever considered leaving Rhode Island? Have you ever found it frustrating being a company based in Rhode Island? You could clearly be based all over the place for this work.
Yeah, people ask me that, because I could go just over the line in Massachusetts and pay less business tax. But we started in Rhode Island. We've had great success in Rhode Island. And we're kind of like the bigger fish in a smaller pond. So working in Rhode Island has been great. And finding people, quality people to work in our company has been fairly easy. So no, I could never see myself leaving Rhode Island.
But that doesn't mean maybe you don't have any ideas on how they could make it easier to do business in Rhode Island. We're hearing about that a lot. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, they've really tightened up the, what I see a lot from business owners is the need for cash flow. And with the new banking regulations, it's tighter and tighter for them to be able to get small lines of credit to help their business in tougher times.
We hear that from banks a lot when we went on this show too, yeah.
And it's difficult, and their hands are tied. The banks' hands are tied. So I think the government or state of Rhode Island could come up with some type of subsidized loan program for businesses, small lines of credit that help them through the tough time, that can back them to get these lines of credit to help their business out. I think that's really what businesses today need.
Now, the flip side, people might worry, well, would that mean that taxpayers would be on the hook for loans to different businesses? I mean, do you think there's a safe way to do it where there's not too much risk for the state in that?
Oh, of course. It's SBA, back is not, they're not at risk for that. The business owner's still at risk, but they're just helping the bank make easier decisions. Mm-hmm. And really, I think it's an investment. You're not looking to make the multi-million-dollar, $30 million loans. We're talking the small $50,000 lines of credit for these smaller businesses to run and thrive. That's what they're looking for. So I think in the micro loan, there's less risk and more reward for the state to help out because, one, they're driving the economy better by helping these smaller businesses. And when you look at it, small businesses employ more people in the United States than all the big businesses combined.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. Ed Medeiros, thank you very much for joining me from East Commerce Solutions. Don't go away, though, because coming up next, we're going to hear from Alliance Security, a fast-growing company out of the West Bay. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and right now I'm happy to be joined by Brian Fabiano. He is the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Alliance Security, which is in the process, I believe, of moving to Cranston. Are you in place in Cranston yet?
We're getting there.
We're getting there, moving
yes.
into it, and that's because you're growing, right?
We are, yes.
So you needed a new space.
We need a lot of space.
So before we get to that, same question I always ask people, what do you do? Tell us about your company. What do you do at Alliance Security?
I do, me personally or the company in general?
The company in general.
The company in general. So,
we're interested in you too, of course. But
we provide home security to homeowners and small businesses, and we're moving more into home automation or smart homes.
So is this the classic, alarm system? You put your numbers in when
Absolutely.
you leave the house to make sure robbers don't get in and
yes.
all that.
Yep.
Home automation. You guys have been talking about this a lot. What exactly does this mean for the average homeowner?
So home automation, and really we like saying smart homes.
Smart homes. Okay.
Smart homes really keep you in touch with your home, with your family. They can provide automation through turning lights on or unlocking doors, but it can save you energy through smart thermostats. It can keep you in touch with people coming and going from your home, such as when my daughter comes home from school. I know she gets there because she puts in her code in the door, and I get a text message. I see a video clip of her coming in the door. I know if she's in a good mood or not. So it keeps you in touch with your house and your family and what's going on.
And we're seeing a lot of companies in that space, some of which I think come maybe more out of utilities or something like that.
Sure,
but
sure.
You think there's a place for security people to get there?
Right now a lot of people are trying to get into it. You have Apple, you have Google for the big names, you have the cable companies trying to get in it. And we've kind of naturally progressed into it. Having the alarm panel on a wall in somebody's home, and suddenly a manufacturer said, hey, we could easily hook up a thermostat to your alarm panel. So over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been gradually happening where they'll give us more and more products to put into homes. And now we really have a suite. We're a one-stop shop. So instead of you going out and getting, a Nest and then going and getting a light module, and then you have, in the end you have 5 different apps on your smartphone to do all these things. We provide one app through alarm.com, and it controls your whole house. So we're in a very good position. Most consumers don't realize that home security companies do things like that.
Yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is you've really had a lot of growth. Your revenue, Inc. magazine, which does this list every year, less than $3 million in 2010, more than $14 million in 2013. I believe it's kept going up from there.
We did $48 million last year.
That is pretty explosive, especially in a not booming economy. What's driving that growth for you?
Hard work. We believe in really training and providing our employees with a fantastic place to work. Everybody that works for us is very passionate, and we just keep pushing. We agreed to keep growing until it got really hard, and it hasn't gotten hard yet. So we've made a lot of smart decisions.
Now, no company ever comes on here and says we want to have a bad place for our employees. So how do you distinguish that? What's different? What do you try to be different about that you see other companies do?
Culture at Alliance is you really have to experience it to understand it. But it's we provide an exciting environment. It's always upbeat, and everybody in the whole company, whether it's from sales to our technicians to customer service, everybody's very passionate about what they do, and they're really focused on doing the best they can in their position. And because we grow so fast, and we have grown so fast, everybody feels that they've really been a part of that growth, and they've seen us go from one building to the next to more states that we cover, and all the accolades we've received. So they feel a part of that because they are. And I think that's why our whole company is very passionate about doing better.
Do you know how many homes your systems are in at this point?
We're we surpassed 100,000 in October, so we're probably at about 130,000 now.
And what's the outlook going forward for you guys?
So going forward, we're real excited to get into our new building. We have a lot of things planned in the new building, and we just need space to do them. And we're just continuing to grow. We're really excited about getting more into the smart home space. We think that that's going to be a real popular discussion in homes over the next few years. And consumers are going to realize where they can turn to get it. And they'll understand it's not very expensive, and it's not difficult to use. So we're very excited of moving into that space.
Now, do you think, are we all going to have smart homes? Are we all going to end up, buzzing our feet on our iPhones and all that?
I think one way or another, yes. I mean, even now they have washers and dryers that you can connect with your cell phone.
Yeah.
So I think over time you're going to see almost any electronic gadget is going to be tied into some sort of central control, and you'll either know the status of it or you can control it. So I think over time, absolutely.
The FTC wasn't happy with you guys last year for calling people, they said, on the do not call list. You worked that out. There was a penalty and whatnot.
Sure.
Was that, I have to ask, was that a significant blow to the company?
Absolutely. It was actually a few years back. It happened when we went through our first huge growth spurt.
Maybe I'm referring to the release on it.
Yeah, exactly. And we went through a huge growth spurt, and we made some mistakes. We immediately recognized them, but because we make a significant amount of phone calls, we made some mistakes. We recognized them, we immediately fixed them. We implemented significant systems into all of our sales centers, and we paid our dues. We moved on, and now we're focused on growth and protecting
was that
homes.
and part of what people like with the show is we can be candid. Was that, as the executive team, was that a difficult moment? What did you have to do to say, okay, we've had we've done it this way, how do we move on from that and rebuild from
absolutely there? And it took us we did a lot of planning, and we immediately took on a lot of IT support to create these systems for us. And we encouraged, we have a third-party company that comes in and audits us to make sure everything's in check, because we want to do clean business, we want to do good business, and we want to do right to our customers, and that's really what we focus on. So
the new building, part of what you guys are excited about, you're going to hire more people from the sounds of it. What are you looking at in terms of employee growth?
Yes, right now we have about 470 employees, not just in Rhode Island, because we have technicians in 44 states. We're looking to double our Rhode Island staff over the next 12 to 18 months, which is I'd say at least an additional 100 to 150 employees.
What kind of people, what kind of jobs will those be?
Oh, they range. You know, we have customer service, we have sales, we have technicians, we have service technicians, IT staff, marketing. You know, really we do everything internal. So everything that Alliance creates, we do under our own roof.
Now, how'd the company end up in Rhode Island originally? Was it you all Rhode Islanders?
It's where we were. Yes, it's where I live. So yeah, we formed it here because we all lived here, and it's worked out great for us.
Have you been involved from the start?
I have, yes.
What's
yes.
the origin story for you guys? How did you get your beginnings?
The origin story, myself and the other partners in the company, we all met at a home security company.
Okay.
And we between us ran pretty much that company. We learned the whole company, the whole business, and then we just kind of met up and said, you know, why don't we give this a shot? We think we know how to do it, and we have the passion and drive to do it, and the work ethics. So we gave it a shot, and the rest is history.
Now, you were significantly smaller around the time that the recession took place. We talked to a lot of small companies, just being the time period we're in, who went through that. Was that difficult for you guys, or security, is it recession-proof?
Well, it is. It's recession-proof because when the economy's bad, crime goes up. So people are more aware of crime, so they want home security. When the times are good, there's more, I guess, expendable income to get the security before you need it. And that's unfortunately the mistake most people take, is they don't get it until something happens.
Yeah. So what are you guys most excited about at the new facility once you're in there?
I think the evolution of our culture within the new building, and I'm excited to have additional space for training. We're launching the Alliance Academy, which is going to allow us to provide even better training to our staff. The employees are going to love we have a huge lounge area and a cafeteria with, hot food and everything else for them. So they're very, and parking. We're out of parking right now. So
yeah, they definitely want a place to put their cars when they get to
Yes.
work. And you're going into Cranston now. What part of Cranston are you guys
Yes,
going to be
we're
in?
right next to the Cranston Police Department. So it's the Gibbs building. It used to be the Gibbs School. So we're moving into that building.
Symbiosis there, next to the police.
Yes.
You got the security guy. Every
Yes,
version of
we go hand
security.
in hand, yes.
So what's your pitch to somebody who doesn't have an alarm in their house? Only have about 30 seconds left. Why should they get an alarm?
Why should they get an alarm? I mean, beyond the obvious home security factors of the alarm, I think with the systems now, they do so many things to save you money on your energy bills. With smoke protection, you're going to save money on your insurance. They almost pay for themselves in the end. And just having that peace of mind knowing that you're home safe and that your children are safe when they come home from school, or when you're sleeping and you hear a creak. If I hear a creak in my house, I don't think twice about it.
Has it made you paranoid being in the security business?
No, it hasn't. But I mean, I've heard every story there is, because unfortunately, when people call us, it's because something's happened.
Yeah.
And we hate to see that happen. So we
get that alarm installed and you'll be good.
Get it before something happens.
All right,
Exactly.
Brian Fabiano, he's COO of Alliance Security. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for joining us on Executive Suite. We'll see you back here next week, and don't forget, you can catch us now on the radio every Sunday night, 6 p.m. on WPRO AM 630, 99.7 FM. Catch you next week. Great, thanks.